following NBC sports program is brought to you in living color.
Clay Carroll being congratulated by his manager, Sparky Anderson. Yesterday, the Reds kept their hopes alive with a 6-5 victory over the Baltimore Orioles, and it was Dave Concepcion who knocked in the first Red run with a triple. Lee May continued his hard hitting. He leads now in RBIs in this series with 8. Pete Rose, hitless the first 2 games, has bounced back. He's had 4 hits in the last 2 games, and he had a home run yesterday. The Reds are waiting for Johnny Bench to break loose. He singled yesterday in the 8th inning. Tony Perez made the play of the game for the Reds, a backhanded stab off the bat of Boog Powell to rob Powell of a double. Clay Carroll has been a great relief pitcher in this series. He won the game yesterday. He's now gone 8 1/3 innings of shutout relief. Here's the big blow of the game. Lee May crashing the homer to left field. The first pitch served up by reliever Eddie Watt. The Cincinnati Wives finally had something to cheer about. And so did the dugout as May is congratulated by his teammates. The Reds think now that maybe things have turned, that maybe they could come up with a momentum that will carry them on in this 1970 World Series. That was yesterday. Today, NBC Sports presents Game 5 of the 1970 World Series. The National League champs, the Cincinnati Reds, versus the American League champions, the Baltimore Orioles. Brought to you by the Gillette Company, makers of Right Guard deodorant and Right Guard antiperspirant in the silver can. By Phillips 66, the performance stock. At Phillips 66, it's performance that counts. And by Chrysler Corporation, extra care in engineering. Your host today, your local Chrysler Plymouth dealer. It's been raining all morning in Baltimore. However, the rain stopped about a half hour ago, and at 12:30 Eastern Daylight Time, the tarp was removed from the field. Hi, everybody. I'm Kurt Gowdy of NBC Sports. With me, Chuck Thompson, the voice of the Baltimore Orioles. Roaming the stands, he may be busy today, Tony Kubek of NBC Sports. The weatherman says that we can have continued rain. It may be one of those off-again, on-again affairs with the ground crew busy. The fate of a World Series game is in the hands of the Commissioner of Baseball, Bowie Kuhn, working with the advisement of his umpiring staff. Neither team took batting or fielding practice. The diamond does not drain too well here, but it is in fairly good shape. Now to tell you about the starting pitchers, and they're both question marks, and we'll have quite a spell here. The ceremonies that we've had the first 4 games of the series have been dispensed with, and they're going to let these pitchers warm up. We'll have the national anthem at 1 o'clock, and then it's going to be play ball. But to tell you about the starting pitchers and their respective problems, here is Chuck Thompson.
Thank you very much, Kurt, and again, good afternoon, everybody. And these are problem-type pitchers this afternoon. Both have the same sort of a problem. And you see out in the Cincinnati bullpen right now, the left-handed Jim Merritt. Merritt, a 20-game winner for the Reds, and he has had his problems. He suffered a strained elbow in the first inning at San Francisco on September the 8th and has pitched only twice since then. He went 3 innings, a run, and 4 hits against the Dodgers on the 26th of September. And then he went 5 1/3 innings with a run and 3 hits against the Pirates October the 4th in the second playoff game. And he feels that he is just about 95% ready. I'm sure that he will start this afternoon, of course, weather permitting. And then it will be strictly up to Merritt and to Sparky Anderson as to how far he can go. Now, for the Baltimore pitcher, here is Mike Cuellar, and he also has an arm problem. For the first time in 1970, over the past week or so, Cuellar has been taking heat treatments for a sore shoulder. He also has a rather sore hip. So both Merritt and Cuellar this afternoon face the same problems. They will warm up, they will make an effort to start, and it's strictly up to each individual as to how far he will go this afternoon. So we have a couple of great big question marks in Cuellar and in Jim Perry of the Cincinnati Reds, and that's the story on pitching for game number 5. And now let's go downstairs to Tony Kubek.
Thank you. You're with me, the manager of the Cincinnati Reds, Sparky Anderson. And Sparky, you must have been quite happy and elated after yesterday's victory.
Well, we sure were, Tony, but we're still down 3-1. But the only thing I'm proud of, I told them that my kids wouldn't quit. I don't think they'll quit today, and we sure want to take them back to Cincinnati.
What's the status of Jim Merritt warming up in the bullpen right now?
Well, if he goes to the mound, Tony, I'm going to say he's 100% because I think that's what the baseball fans deserve. Jimmy will do the best he can, I know this, but we're liable to use just everybody down there today.
Sparky, it's your first World Series after a long and distinguished minor league career in baseball managing. How are you taking all the pressures and the sidelines and the magnification of a World Series?
Well, let me tell you, Tony, they told me before what a thrill it would be. Nobody in this world can ever know until they play in the World Series. It's the greatest event you could ever be in, and any kid that's young and wants to play baseball, if he'll just work as hard as he can to get him one of these, he'll never forget as long as he lives.
You know, in yesterday's ball game, Sparky, and that was very well said, and quite inspirational for young kids thinking of a baseball career. But you finally got one of the booming bats of your big three going. Lee May pulled you out of a jam, and that must make you feel pretty good, too.
Well, it made me feel so good, Tony, because Lee May and Tommy Helms haven't had the publicity the rest of my players have had, and I know as a manager what they've done for this ball club, and that's why I was so happy to see Lee do it.
And you know, you've got a shortstop in there now, Concepcion, although Woodward has done a great job for you all year long, but he hits the ball pretty well. He's going to have a pretty good future. You've got a lot of young kids.
You know, I said I wanted to play him in a World Series to make a man out of him, Tony. I think he's already showed us he's a man already.
He sure has. He's come through under pressure, and Pete Rose has now started to swing the bat. He's got 4 hits in the last 2 ball games. He's hitting the ball very well, so you may be on your way and going.
Tony, if we can win this one, I honestly have just a hunch that we're going to set a record that's never happened in the World Series.
Sparky Anderson, good luck to you today, and the remainder of the series, thank you so much.
Oh, thank you, Tony. Thank you for being so good to me.
Thanks, Sparky. Let's go back upstairs.
Now, here are our batting orders for today's game. For the visiting Cincinnati Reds, they'll lead off with Bobby Tolan in center field. Remember, they switched yesterday and moved Tolan from 2 to 1, and they're going to stay that way. Pete Rose will be playing right field, batting number 2. Tony Perez is at third base, hitting third. Johnny Bench is the cleanup man, catching. Lee May is at first base. He's the man that the Orioles are having trouble with. May's at first base, hitting number 5. They're platooning in left field again. Hal McRae, a right-handed batter, goes today with a left-handed pitcher working for the Orioles. And McRae's had 4 hits and 8 times up in this series. Tommy Helms is at second base, batting 7th. They're leaving Concepcion in the lineup. He's stung the ball, and Jim Merritt is the pitcher. That's the batting order of the Cincinnati Reds, and that's Merritt in the background out in the Cincinnati bullpen. Now the batting order for the home team, the Baltimore Orioles. Mark Belanger will be leading off at shortstop. Paul Blair's in center field, batting number 2. Frank Robinson in right field, hitting third. Boog Powell at first base, batting cleanup. Merv Retman, making his first start in the series, is in left field. We're going to have Chuck Thompson come in and talk about this fellow. He's quite a story. Brooks Robinson at third base, the leading hitter in the series, and the leading fielder. Dave Johnson's at second base, batting 7th. Andy Etchebarren, a right-handed batter, being played today as catcher, with a left-hander starting for Cincinnati. And Mike Cuellar is the pitcher. He started the second game. That's Cuellar warming up, and quickly down to Tony Kubek.
With me, the manager of the Baltimore Orioles, Earl Weaver. Earl, what about the condition of your pitcher today, Mike Cuellar?
Well, he has had stiffness late in the season after every one of his starts, and he had it in between his last start and this start. But he's loosening up. The humidity is high here, and if he breaks a good sweat, it shouldn't bother him too much.
Earl, should something happen, I don't want to speak in a negative vein, that something happens to that hip or the arm stiffens up, who would you go to? Do you know yet?
Well, probably Tommy Phoebus or Dave Leonard, depending on the situation. It looks like if I'm going to have to pinch hit, I might bring Leonard in to get out of an inning and then bring Phoebus in to pitch a fresh one, maybe 3, until the next pinch hit situation arises.
Earl, you know, in baseball, and I know back with our Yankee ball clubs, it seems like the power hitters got all the publicity. But you're in our defense, and everybody knows Brooks Robinson, but you've got a couple of guys that are underrated as far as I'm concerned. Between Brooks Robinson and Boog Powell, that double play combination you've got could be the best in baseball.
I think they are right now. They've been working together now 4 years, and they've improved each year, and they can turn it as quick as anybody in the American League, I'm sure.
Earl, you're playing Rettenmoon today, I guess, according to the lineup. Is there any reasons for that?
Well, I played Retman a lot toward the end of the season. He was our club's leading hitter, and I played him a lot against left-handed pitching. I spotted Donnie against left-handed pitching, maybe took Paul out once in a while to rest him. And I just think that we might get a little more power in the lineup. Donnie hits most of his homers left-handed, and Retman naturally hit 18 right-handed.
Earl, I see right behind us at home plate. The umpires are coming out. I'll let you go. Thank you so much. Good luck.
Okay, Tom.
Let's go back upstairs to Kurt.
Chuck, tell us about Merv Retman. He's a part-time player here. Many baseball experts say he could play on many teams and be a star in the outfield.
I believe that's true. In the American League particularly, Kurt, there are many outfields that he would be able to play regularly. For Baltimore, as a part-time player this year, he had 18 home runs, knocked in 58 runs. He is an adequate defensive outfielder. He has a power, and a lot of power to right center and right field for a right-handed batter. And also, Kurt, he has a very good idea of the strike zone. As a matter of fact, in his fine minor league career at Rochester, he was a leadoff batter. And he has served in that capacity for manager Earl Weaver. He is part of what manager Weaver refers to as the finest bench in baseball. And Retman, who came in to fill in for Paul Blair, who was struck in the face earlier this year, did a very, very good job. And I think when you look at a fellow who has had maybe 330-plus at-bats and has hit 18 home runs and knocked in 58, you've got quite a ball player sitting in the dugout. He was a great athlete at Ball State. If memory serves me correctly, and I hope I'm right about this, Kurt, he was drafted kind of high by the Dallas Cowboys. I think they drafted him about number 4 as a running back. But fortunately for Baltimore in baseball, he stayed with us.
All right, let's take a look down the field now. Cuellar still warming up. Meeting at home plate, Earl Weaver with his back to you. Pete Rose receives that extra $500 a year for being captain of the Cincinnati Reds. And the umpires behind home plate today will be Bill Williams of the National League. Emmett Ashford is the umpire at first base of the American League. Ken Burkhardt of the National League at second. John Flaherty of the American League umping at third. Tony Venzon will be working the... we'll have to check these foul lines. We have him on the left field foul line with Bob Stewart on the right, and we'll confirm that for you.
Kurt, there's just one comment about Pete Rose now. Yesterday, when he came up in the same capacity, Earl Weaver turned and headed back for the dugout, and Pete Rose kept saying, Earl, Earl, Earl. And finally, Weaver turned around, and Pete Rose said, I'll see you tomorrow.
He's always the optimist, a very, very positive thinker. Pete Rose, the captain of the Cincinnati Reds. The umpires are taking their positions. Repeating again, it has rained all morning in Baltimore, sometimes fairly hard. And about 12:20, the rain stopped. The tarp was removed at 12:30, a half hour before scheduled game time. So the home plate area, the pitching mound, and the infield should be in good shape. We will not promise you, though, that it won't rain again today. You know this Baltimore weather, Chuck.
Anytime you're alongside a great body of water, you know, you can have changeable weather. Kurt, the game hasn't even started. I've got to make a correction. Cowboys drafted Retman 12th, not 4th. Excuse me.
Well, we pause briefly for station identification. This is the NBC Television Network.
Ladies and gentlemen, please rise and join in the singing of the national anthem, which will be played by the 1st U.S. Army Band from Fort George G. Meade, Maryland.
15 stripes and stars that flew over Fort McHenry. The inspiration for our Star-Spangled Banner. The 5th game of the 1970 World Series being brought to you from Baltimore as the Cincinnati Reds meet the Baltimore Orioles. Your umpires were wrong on the foul lines. Yeah. He just put them wrong. Allen had them right. Who's throwing out the first ball? All right, here the umbrellas are popping up all over. It's starting to rain. As the Orioles take the field, it starts to sprinkle again, and the umbrellas pop up through the stands. At first base is Boog Powell for Baltimore. Dave Johnson will play second again. Belanger is the shortstop. Brooks Robinson at third. Merv Rettenman at left field. Paul Blair, the center fielder. Frank Robinson in right. Andy Etchebarren behind the plate, and Mike Cuellar. Went 2 1/3 innings in the second game at Cincinnati. Gave up 4 hits, 4 runs, walked 1, and struck out 1. The lights are on, and the Reds in the first inning send up Bobby Tolan, Pete Rose, and Tony Perez. Here's the batting order. If you keep score along with us, that Cuellar will be facing today. Quickly, Tolan in center field, Rose in right, Perez at third, bench cleanup catching, Lee May hitting 5th at first base, Hal McRae in left field batting 6th, Tommy Helms at second base hitting 7th, Dave Concepcion at shortstop batting 8th, and Jim Merritt will pitch and bat 9th. Mike Cuellar tied McNally and Perry for the most victories in the major leagues this year, 24.
Playing center field, number 28.
He came from Houston along with Elijah Johnson in a trade for Kurt Blefary after the '68 season. It's turned out to be a block-busting trade for the Orioles. Cuellar's won 47 games in 2 years here. Bobby Tolan fouls it back, jumping right on that first pitch. Tolan has had 4 hits in 15 times. He's hit safely in each game, 1 hit in each game. Series batting average of .267. Breaking pitch over. Tolan bluffing a bunt. Robinson was charging from third. These seats are all out in the open here in Baltimore. The crowd has been held down. It's rained all morning. Outside, we've had a capacity crowd every game except today. The tickets are all sold for today. Maybe some brave ones will still be moving in through the exits. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Change of pace. Turned it over on him. That screwball. A slow one, too. Tolan strikes out. This game authorized under television rights granted by Major League Baseball solely for the entertainment of our audience. Any publication, reproduction, retransmission, or other use of the pictures, descriptions, and accounts of this game without the express written consent of the Commissioner of Baseball is prohibited. Pete Rose, batting .250 in the series. Ball 1. He was hitless his first 2 games. Now he's had 4 hits the last 2 days. He's had a homer and 2 RBIs. Ball 2. Cuellar has a fastball, a curve, and a screwball. that breaks just the opposite of his curve. The screwball breaks away from right-handers, and he can be tough against a right-handed lineup. Brings up an interesting theory, and he also throws a slider. Strike. There's the commissioner, but his hat is studying the situation very intently. He makes the decisions as to the fate of this game. Dick Forbes, the vice president, advertising manager of Chrysler Corporation, alongside of him. Foul back out of play, 2-2. Tony Perez on deck. I've got to watch giving those titles, Chuck. Sometimes I demote him, and sometimes I elevate him above.
You could be in bad trouble.
1 out, nobody on. 2-2 count to Pete Rose. We've just started a wet day in Baltimore. There's a fly ball down the right field line. Tough chance. It's in for a base hit. Rose is coming for 2. It gets away from Robinson. Rose hit the dirt. And had he rounded the bag, he might have gone for 3. He thought it would be a play on him at second.
And let's take a look at Cincinnati's Charlie Hustle. Pete Rose, as he took Cuellar the other way, which is what a lot of right-handers will do against the screwball of the left-handed. And this is the way Rose plays the game, just 150% each and every time, whether the ball is there or not. He's not taking any kind of a chance. Pete Rose.
Give Rose a double. He's on second, 1 out, and Tony Perez up has had only 1 hit in 14 times. Reds are waiting for him to break loose. Right, getting back to that screwball theory. I remember years ago when Mel Parnell was pitching with the Red Sox. He had a good screwball, a left-hander. Casey Stengel one day hit all left-handed batters against him instead of right-handers. A ball figuring that the screwball really made him a right-handed pitcher because it was breaking away from right-handers and into left-handers. On deck, Johnny Bench. 1 ball, 1 strike to Perez. Foul ball. We have a mutual admiration society in this World Series. Tony Perez has been praising Brooks Robinson. And yesterday, Robinson gave Perez quite a compliment for the great stab he made in the 8th inning off the bat of Boog Powell. Rob Powell of a double in the left field corner. 1-2 pitch. Foul ball. Perez was hot coming into this series. Sparky Anderson looking on. Came into the series with a 9-game streak. But he suddenly cooled off. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Power hitter, 40 homers during the year. Fastball, foul back. 1-2 to Perez. Crazy Horse is the nickname the Orioles have given Cuellar. That's the screwball, down and away. You wonder why more pitchers don't use the screwball. It can be tough on the arm. It's an unnatural delivery, and you're rotating the arm in the opposite manner. 2-2. All 3. The most famous screwball pitcher, of course, was Carl Hubble of the New York Giants. His arm is still bent. 3-2. Rose at second, 1 out. That fly ball hit out to left fielder Rettman. Rose holds at second. There are 2 down. And the batter is Johnny Bench, who's had 3 hits and 15 times up, batting .200, 1 homer, 2 RBIs.
After the opening game here in Baltimore, Johnny Bench had a tough day. He went 0 for 4. But after the game was over, he got on the team bus to go back downtown, and he spotted a somebody grabbing a purse from a lady out in the parking lot and called the attention of a Baltimore policeman, and the would-be criminal was apprehended. And Bench's comment was, "That's the only thing I've done right all day."
2 down, Rose at second. Strike the bench. Cuellar was born in Santa Clara, Cuba. Lives now in Puerto Rico. He likes to pitch in hot weather. Likes to break a sweat. There's a drive in the right field, a base hit. Here comes Rhodes around third. And the Reds grab the lead, 1-0. On Bench's single to right center. Lee May has swung a big bat in this series. He's carried the burden at the plate for the Reds. He leads the series in RBIs with 8. He knocked in 4 runs yesterday. He's had 2 homers. Batting .429, and he's played a fine first base. And they're removing the tarp in the Baltimore bullpen. We're going to have some action out there. There's a drive, hit the deep left. Bretman going back. That ball is off the wall. Into third is Bench. Coming into second is May. And they still can't get May out. A double off the left field wall. Missed a home run by 5 or 6 feet.
Here's a good look at that awesome swing of Lee May. And now, as he doubled off the left field corner, that brings Bamberger out of the Oriole dugout. And as Curtis pointed out, if there's to be a pitching change for the most part, here is the look in slow motion now at that great, powerful swing of Lee May.
You know, Chuck, he really didn't hit that ball on the fat part of the bat. He is so strong that he nearly hit that home run. That's Phoebus warming up. But he really didn't get the good wood on it.
Well, he's a little bit like the Oriole Boog Powell insofar as his strength is concerned. He really does not have to get it on the fat of the bat. If he just gets a little bit of it, he's strong enough to hit it a long way.
Cuellar is having first inning troubles again. Out at Cincinnati on Sunday, he gave up 3 runs and 3 hits in the first inning. Earl Weaver says that's his pattern sometimes, that he has to get loose. And if he can get by the first couple of innings, he becomes tougher. All right, the Reds have runners on second and third, 2 down. They're leading 1-0 in the top of the first inning. Fastball's fouled back. Hal McRae has had 4 hits and 8 times, 1 RBI. He and Bernie Carbo have been alternating in left field. Bench is at third, Mays at second. Outside the ball. McRae attended Florida A&M University. Born in Avon Park, Florida. Lives now in Bradenton. Broke his right leg in winter baseball in the Puerto Rican League. A couple of years ago, set him back. A hot smash foul. And they're teeing off in Cuellar. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Just a slight breeze today. It's very humid here. And no breeze right now. It's a drive to right center. That'll score 2 runs. It's all the way back to the wall. McRae going to second. And holds with a double. And the Reds have come up with 3 runs in the first inning. They have racked Cuellar with a double, a single, a double, and a double. Every ball's been hit hard. Tommy Helms, the batter. That's Phoebus. I think Etchebarren's out there to stall for some time to give Phoebus more time to warm up, and we may see Earl Weaver popping out of that dugout here in a moment. 3 runs in, 2 down. McRae at second. Top of the first inning.
Second base, number 19, Tommy Helms.
The Reds picking up where they left off yesterday. Tommy Helms up. Ground ball to short. Belanger to Powell. The side's out. 3 runs in for Cincinnati. 4 hits. There were no errors and 1 left. At the end of the first half inning, it's Cincinnati 3 and Baltimore nothing.
Let's see. The only ball they pulled on him was the double by. Everything else they took it the other way, didn't they? Right center. May is the only guy that pulled it.
The Reds have Lee May at first base, Tommy Helms at second, Concepcion the shortstop, Perez at third, McRae in left field, Tolan the center fielder, Rose in right, Johnny Bench the catcher, and Jim Merritt, who's had tendonitis in his left elbow. He pitched 5 1/3 innings in the playoffs against Pittsburgh, won that game, gave up just 3 hits and a run, but had to leave when he tired. He has not pitched much the last few weeks. Suffered a strained elbow, San Francisco on September 8th, and has pitched only twice since then. So not only his elbow is a question mark today, but I would imagine his stamina. Tom Phoebus is still warming up in the Baltimore bullpen. Here's the Baltimore batting order. Belanger at shortstop, Paul Blair the center fielder, Frank Robinson in right hitting third, Boog Powell at first batting cleanup, Merv Rettenman at left, Brooks Robinson at third batting sixth, Johnson hitting seventh at second, Echeverria catching and batting eighth, and Cuellar pitching and batting ninth. Jim Merritt, 26 years old. Born in Altadena, California, lives now in West Covina, California. Used to be a clubhouse boy and also a ball boy for the Los Angeles Dodgers. Belanger leading off. Fouls it out of play. Belanger's had 1 hit in 14 times in the series. This is Jim Merritt's 9th professional season. Began with the Twins organization in 1962. Pitched for the Twins in the American League 3.5 years. His second year with the Reds. Ball 1. Merritt is one of the best control pitchers in baseball. He's averaged only 2 walks every 9 innings this year. 5 times he pitched complete games this season and didn't walk a batter. Led the American League in control pitching in '67. Ball 2, 2-1. Cincinnati's out in front, 3-0, last of the first inning. For those that keep joining us, it rained all morning here. Foul ball, 2-2. The tarp was taken off a half hour before game time. There's Merritt's record this year. He has a high earned run average for a 20-game winner, but he's tough when he has to. Slow curve has popped up. Perez, the third baseman in foul territory, puts it away. 1 out. Paul Blair has 6 hits in 15 times up.
Batting second, playing center field, number 6, Paul Blair.
Blair's World Series average, 400. Foul into the stands. On deck, Frank Robinson. Merritt had a freak accident this year. He fell off a house painting and hurt himself. Got a late start in spring training. Maybe he was up chasing a toy or a kite or something, as I recall. Getting his son's kite, that was right. 2-1. That kite nearly proved very expensive for the Merritt family. Could have injured himself permanently. 2 balls and a strike to Paul Blair. 1 out, nobody on. The bunt, the beauty. That's the only thing Perez could do. Let it roll. 2-2. With the rain a threat here, we go by the rule book on an official game today. If the home team is behind, they have to bat through the last of the 5th inning for this to be an official game. World Series programs getting double coverage today. 2 balls, 2 strikes to Paul Blair. That one's going to drop in for a diving grab, but it's a base hit. He trapped the ball. Great try by McRae, but it's a base hit by Blair. We'll give McRae a hand for his effort.
Well, we'll take a look at the great effort from McRae once more. Here is his all-out effort to make it on the fly. And as you see, it hit right in front of him. And you got another fine call from umpire Tony Benson down on the left field side. McRae with an all-out gamble, and no doubt the Reds naturally cannot afford to lose. They're going to play it that way.
Frank Robinson. 4 hits and 17 trips. Batting .235. You know, only one time has a ball been hit out of this stadium, and the man at bat did it back in May of 1966 against Louis Tion of Cleveland. Ball 1. He hit it over the left field stands into a parking lot beyond, measured at 460 feet on the fly. Quite a poke, as we'll show you on our camera. Curve for a strike. The left field stands, he cleared them. Blair at first, 1 out. 3-0 Cincinnati. 2-1. See the white houses through the trees. Maybe you haven't seen the World Series here previous 2 games. Strike 2. But the batters all complain that sometimes the ball comes out of those white houses and causes trouble for the hitter. Not so much with the left-hander pitching, though. Slow curve, foul back. 2-2 to Frank Robinson. Frank went 9 times to the plate without a hit. When he came home to Memorial Stadium, though, he warmed up. 2-2 pitch to him. Curve is inside, 3-2. Let's see if they start Paul Blair now. He's on first, 1 out. The count 3-2 to Frank Robinson. Holding. Long drive. Hit deep to left field. That one is going. Goodbye. Robinson's second homer of the series, RBIs 3 and 4.
We'll take a look at it again, looking in from center field in slow motion, and look at Robinson unload. We'll take a look at it again, looking in from center field in slow motion, and look at Robinson unload on the breaking ball from Merritt. And it's just a towering high fly that just went straight as a string. Didn't veer one way or the other down the left field line. And Baltimore is back with 2 runs. And here's Boot Kirkgouty.
Wayne Granger starts to warm up. The strike to John Powell. Powell batting .250 in the series, 3 hits 12 times. He's had 2 homers and 4 RBIs. Outside. Merritt has not been sharp with his control, just missing. 1-1. The on-deck batter, Merv Retman. A high fly to left center. Maybe in a hole out there. Nope, going back for it. Concepcion with a fine play. Long ways for a shortstop on that one, out into fairly deep left center.
And it had to be Concepcion because against Powell, naturally, center fielder Tolan as deep as could be, and Concepcion traveled a long way, and that's not the easiest kind of a catch to make in a ball game with your back toward the target and running, moving as Concepcion was. Fine play.
Merv Retman, lives in Flint, Michigan. 27 years old. Inside to him, ball 1. Led the International League in hitting in 1968. A part-time player last year in this year. There's a foul ball. And he's creating a very pleasant problem, isn't he, Chuck, for Earl Weaver? They don't know what to do with him. They want to play him, but it's hard to find a spot.
Well, it is a problem, but Weaver has learned how to handle that problem very well. If ever a manager made full use of all 25 men in his roster in winning a title this year, Earl Weaver has done so.
1 ball, 1 strike. 2 down, nobody on. Outside, 2-1. Brooks Robinson on deck. Granger continues to warm up for the Reds. The curve has popped up. Perez backing up, gives way to Concepcion. And Merritt gets him out. 2 runs on Frank Robinson's 2-run homer. 2 hits, there were no errors, nobody left. And at the end of the first inning, it's Cincinnati 3, Baltimore 2.
It surprised me to see Cuellar come out there again. I thought maybe Venus had completed his warm-ups and was, on his way. But
those are the Reds coaches. Ted Kluszewski at first base, Alex Grammas at third. Kluszewski still has about the biggest pair of arms in Major League Baseball. Dave Concepcion will face Mike Cuellar in the top of the second. Cuellar,
The shortstop, number 13.
his lifetime record and his World Series record. Concepcion, 2 hits and 6 times, been hitting mostly to right center and right field. That's ball strike. He had a triple yesterday to right center. Fouls a curve off. He was born and still lives in Venezuela. Every year he's improved himself, especially in hitting. 2-strike pitch to him. Ball, 1-2. The light rain has stopped again. Out. Umbrellas have been put away temporarily. You see some weird outfits, Chuck, on a rain day at a baseball park, don't you?
You really do. They defy description. They really do.
1 ball, 2 strikes. 2-2. Nobody on, nobody out. The Reds are ahead 3-2 in the top of the second. Pop up, going back is Johnson, the second baseman for it. 1 out. Jim Merritt is up. Merritt, Fergie Jenkins of the Cubs, John Odom of the Oakland A's. The only pitchers in the majors this last year who hit 3 home runs during the season. Right. Bob Tolan on deck at the top of the Reds batting order. One and one. 1 out, bases empty. Ball 2. Cuellar's probably the most superstitious fellow in this series.
Kurt, if there's a more superstitious ball player in the game of baseball, I'd like to meet him. He is extremely superstitious. I'll tell you about it later.
That's foul to Powell.
Number one, he has to be warmed up prior to every game by pitching coach or bullpen coach Jim Fry. He must have Elrod Hendricks stand up there as he warms up as a batter. He will not allow anybody to pick him up in the course of the game other than the man who is catching him. In this case, it'll be Echevarren.
Strikes Merritt out with a fastball.
And still another, you cannot throw him the ball. He has to go pick it up. In other words, you deposit it on the mound, he'll walk out there and pick it up.
2 down, nobody on. Bobby Tolan struck out in the first inning. The Reds have 3 runs, 4 hits. Baltimore 2 runs, 2 hits. In that first inning, the right-handed batters all went to the opposite field, except for Lee May against Cuellar with their base hits. 1-0 to Bobby Tolan. Two 2-0. Bobby Tolan, a cousin of the late Eddie Tolan, a gold medal winner in the 100 and 200 meter dashes in the 1932 Olympics. That's hit down to Powell. Easy play for him. And the Reds are down 1-2-3 in the second. We've gone an inning and a half with a score. Cincinnati 3 and Baltimore 2.
He gets a few runs and he'll loosen up, I guarantee you.
What? All right, boy. The Oriole coaches are George Stoller at first, Bill Hunter at third. Brooks Robinson has already received his ovation when he came out of the dugout. Brooks has the most hits of any batter in this series. 8 hits, 16 times up. He's batting .500. Perfect day yesterday, 4 for 4. Ball 1. The last man to get 4 for 4 in the World Series was Lou Brock for the Cardinals against the Tigers in the first game of the '67 series. Curve strike, 1-1. On deck, Dave Johnson. Prior to Brooks Robinson, the last American League player to have a 4 for 4 game was Bill Dickey in 1938. Foul ball. Bill Dickey, living down in his native Arkansas, pursuing his favorite sport, quail hunting. 1 ball, 2 strikes. What a catcher he was. That drive is out to deep left. McRae back, pulls it in. 1 down. Earl Weaver. 2.5 years he's managed this team. Dave Johnson, 2 hits and 12 times. But has been a sure-handed second baseman in this series. Foul back. They joined us late. That's Wayne Granger. They keep him warming up in case Merritt's elbow goes suddenly. The Reds scored 3 in the top of the first. Frank Robinson hammered a 2-run homer in the last of the first for the Orioles. It's 3-2 Cincinnati. 1 ball, 1 strike. Rained all day here, and we still have, the weatherman says, more rain to come. Maybe we'll get lucky. A 1-1 pitch. 2-1.
On the subject of rain, that was one of the quotes from Sparky Anderson yesterday after the game. He said, well, a little rain wouldn't hurt.
Etchebarren on deck. 3-1. His pitching staff has been hit hard with injuries. Every extra day that he can get would help him, especially for his reliever, Clay Carroll. 3-1 to Dave Johnson. 1 out, nobody on. Johnson's on.
Kurt, mentioning the pitching problems of Sparky Anderson and the Cincinnati Reds, you just need 2 names to give you an idea of the problem. One is Simpson and the other is Maloney. And you take those 2 fellows out of the World Series, and it has to create a tremendous gap.
Yes, and McLaughlin now has a swelling in his upper right arm. He's doubtful. And, of course, Merritt has been plagued with this tendonitis in his elbow. 4 top pitchers. Etchebarren fouls it off. Johnson at first, 1 out. Etchebarren is hitless in 4 times. Twins and the Reds made a fine trade for both clubs in November of '68. Curve is high. The Reds needed pitching. They got Jim Merritt. The Twins needed a shortstop, and the Reds gave them Leo Cardenas. The trade has worked out very well for both teams. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Merritt's only 26. Johnson is stopping at second. Etchebarren's on first. And Cuellar, the pitcher, coming up. He's not a bad hitter. In fact, the Cincinnati Scout report, be careful with Cuellar, McNally, and Palmer. They can all hit. You'll notice today, with the rain all morning, that when the balls are hit through the infield, they're being slowed down by the wet outfield grass. You might see somewhere along the line a player stretch what would be a single into a double, so the outfielder will have to come in and charge the ball. That's a drive to right center. Pete Rose grabs it on the run. Hit hard by Cuellar. 2 down. Sparky Anderson, now he wants to come out here. The last 2 men, Etchebarren and Cuellar, have racked Merritt. Also, Merritt had walked Johnson after 1 out. Sure, he's asking him about his elbow.
Kurt, as we look at Sparky Anderson talking to Jim Merritt, everybody should remember the fine catch Boog Powell made yesterday on the steps of the dugout off a ball hit by Johnny Bench. Well, it was none other than the Cincinnati manager, Sparky Anderson, who kept Powell, or was there to keep him from tumbling into the dugout. A fine gentleman, a fine pro.
Wayne Granger's coming on to pitch. So Jim Merritt, with a bad elbow, is going to be lifted, and there's a break in the action here at Memorial Stadium in Baltimore. The score, Cincinnati 3, Baltimore 2.
Your attention, please. Relieving Merritt, number 37, Wayne Granger.
Now let's go down to Tony.
With me down in Mr. Joe Cronin's box is Bob Short, the owner of the Washington Senators, and David Eisenhower, son of our president. And David, this year you've had an especial interest in baseball, and maybe you can tell us why.
Well, as a matter of fact, thanks to Mr. Short, I had an opportunity to work for a big league club and to see how one operates from the inside. This is something I've always dreamed of doing, and Mr. Short and Mr. Burke of the Senators made it possible.
I've got to ask Mr. Short if you were the one that engineered that McLean trade.
No, I think he's almost as critical of it as the manager, but I know both the manager and David understand that if we wanted McLean, we had to pay a price, and while it was a big price, I think that in June or July we'll know whether it was too much or not enough.
Bob Short, David Eisenhower, thank you so much. Let's go back upstairs.
Wayne Granger, born in Springfield, Massachusetts, lives in Huntington, Massachusetts. He attended Springfield College. His second game in the series. Pitched in the third game and fed up that grand slam home run to Dave McNally. Won 6, lost 5 this year. Earned run average of 2.65. He had 35 saves during the year. 2-0. Belanger fouled out his first time. He's hitless now in his last 12 times at bat. Two down, runners on first and second. Last half the second. The base hit to left. Waving Johnson around. The throw comes into third base. Baltimore's tied it up. Belanger getting his first series RBI. Etchebarren held at second. Belanger's at first. That run is charged to Merritt.
Number 6,
Paul Blair single to left in the first inning. 3-3. Each team has 4 hits. Been an odd series. Leads haven't meant much in this series. The Reds had a 3-0 lead in the first game, 4-0 lead in the second game, and the Orioles overtook them. Curve strike to Blair. Time called in right field. Cincinnati player running out to the bullpen. I hope he's more successful getting through the gate than they were yesterday. One strike. 2 away. There's a base hit. McCray up with the ball. They're waving Etchebarren on the throw. Wide, backed up by Granger. McCray's throw is way off the plate. Looked like he had a real shot at Etchebarren.
Well, here is the tie-breaking base hit, and it was never in doubt. From the moment the ball hit in left field, Billy Hunter was sending Etchebarren, and you see how far offline was the throw from McCray in left field.
Now the Orioles take the lead, 4-3. Frank Robinson hit a 2-run homer to left his first time. Belanger's at second, Blair's at first. That was Paul Blair's 7th hit of the series. Tony Cloninger warming up. Ball 1. They'll have everybody in the store out there today. The 4 runs are charged to Jim Merritt. A high fly to center. Tolan, plenty of room for it. The Orioles are out, but they take the lead. 2 runs for Baltimore, 3 hits, no errors, 2 left. At the end of 2 innings, Baltimore 4 and Cincinnati 3.
For either club, I don't care how much of a lead you've got. It doesn't. I was going to say something, but I guess the scout report is that there's only 1 arm out there, Rose. No, there's only 1
your
arm.
attention please. Will James O'Connell report to upper section 39, ramp.
Better than most. Better than the others. And with 2 out.
This 1970 World Series is being seen via satellite in Puerto Rico and Caracas this year. Also seen in Taiwan, China for the first time and heard in the Chinese language. It's seen in many other countries throughout the world. And on land and sea, the games are being carried via the Armed Forces radio. Remember the 1920s when they used to do the World Series by telegraph around the country. They had a big diamond downtown, some office. In fact, the people would gather there in the street corner to watch and hear the progress of the play. Rose doubled his first time. 1 strike to him. We are low with the curve, 1-1. Earl Weaver told me before the game, he said, Kurt, I leave Cuellar in longer than I would normally to try and give him a chance to really loosen up, even though he gets hurt in the first inning. Rose grounds out second to first. Cuellar led the American League in complete games this past season. Pitched 21 complete games.
Number 24, Tony Perez.
Tony Perez flied to left. Now they're starting to warm up Tom Phoebus. Ball one. Bench on deck. Two Cubans facing each other right now. Cuellar and Perez. Slams it to left. Merv Rettenham is there. 2 down. Tom Phoebus.
Number 5, Johnny Bench.
Well, and the bullpen's really interested in the ball game with a newspaper out there. Johnny Bench single to right. Fouls it back, knocked in a run in the first inning.
Should we protect him and say it had to be the Sporting News?
Lee May, the on-deck batter. 1-1. Baltimore ahead 4-3 in the third. Two out, nobody on. Off-speed pitch, full bench. The Reds, like the Orioles, are fastball hitters. Blue ball for Ware is now retired 7 in a row. At the end of 2.5 innings, Baltimore 4 and Cincinnati 3.
Your attention, please. Dr. Edwin Stewart, Jr. Please report to the Oriole office.
If we get a few more runs. That was really funny. I didn't know Kurt, when I looked, I saw the guy sitting there reading a newspaper. That's funny.
Hey, Blue.
Alan Boog is 0 for his last 7 official at-bats, correct? Okay.
Special tour sponsored by the USO. 20 Major League Baseball stars will visit our troops in Vietnam, tour the hospital bases in Japan, Guam, and the Philippines after the World Series. They'll head out October 27th. Chuck Dobson, Jim Nash, Danny Cater, Sam McDowell, Bud Harrelson, Willie Stargell, Jim Grant, Phil Necro. 4 different groups will make the tour, sponsored by the USO. John Powell popped up his first time. I see one of the groups will be in charge of Bob Prince, the Pirate broadcaster. They're in real trouble. We're just kidding. Bob, one of the most colorful broadcasters we have in the business. A very witty man. 1 ball, no strikes. Strike, 1-1. Merv Rettenham on deck, and then Brooks Robinson. 4-3. last of the third. Baltimore ahead. There's a drive to deep right. Rose going hard, can't get it. Powell on his way for 2 and doubles the lead off the third.
We can take a look in split screen. You'll see the delivery from Granger and the Powell swing. About as powerful a swing as the American League has to offer, to be compared with the likes of a Harmon Killebrew and a Frank Howard. And good for 2 bases.
That's young Milt Wilcox in the bullpen.
Number 14.
A busy bullpen for the Reds today. Merv Retman is up. Popped up his first time. Foul back, strike 1. The Orioles now have had 6 hits. The Reds have had 4. Four to 3 Baltimore, last of the third. One and one. Up the middle. Big Powell score. Down to second. Goes Retman. Retman winds up at second on the throw to the plate.
Look at it again. Here's your base hit through the middle to center field. And Tolan makes his play at the plate a lot closer than it appeared it would be. That's Powell's left foot over the plate prior to the tag. And now you can take a look at the big man. Once he gets underway, Powell runs well for a man his size. Pretty good turn at third. He lost a little bit in the foul territory, and again here is his slide at the plate. And you notice the traffic cop. By that I mean Brooks Robinson telling Powell as he went by to get down, hit that dirt, and the good call from the plate umpire Billy Williams. And Sparky Anderson is on the scene again as Baltimore now leads 5-3, and it bears repeating, as Kurt Gowdy pointed out a moment ago, what kind of a lead do you need to win when you get the Reds and the Orioles together?
Granger has faced 5 men and given up 4 base hits. Sparky Anderson is staying with him. And the next batter is Brooks Robinson. 5-3 Baltimore. They have Retman on second. Nobody out. Baltimore scored at least 1 run each inning. Robinson trying to go with a curve to right. Move that man to third. Robinson has been red hot in the playoffs in the World Series. Against Minnesota, he had 7 hits and 12 times up. In the World Series, he's 8 for 17. 15 hits in his last 29 times at bat. And a 9-game batting streak. He's been just as hot with his glove. Helms hung with that one beautifully. Retman's over at third.
Let's look at it again and watch Helms as he really battled to maintain control. More than anything else, he wanted to keep the ball where it is in front of him, and he did that. And throws out Brooks Robinson. And again, a repeat of what Kurt said momentarily, how obviously Brooks was trying to go to the first base side to advance Retman to third base.
Those are things that never show up in the box score. but the good players do them and help their team. So Redmond now at third, and the Reds have to bring the infield in with 1 out. Strike to Johnson. We pause briefly for station identification. This is the NBC television network. Dave Johnson walked his first time. Infield in. 1-1. Redmond at third. 1 down. Two and 1. Here's Leary on those bags with Johnny Bench behind the plate. He can pick you off. Marvelous throwing arm. Base hit to left field. And Brooks Robinson getting that man over to third. Set up the run. The infield had to draw in, and they slapped the ball through the drawn in infield. Sparky Anderson out again. That's Milt Wilcox. Granger has been no puzzle to Baltimore. The Orioles have tagged him for 6 hits. So there's a break in the action here at Memorial Stadium in Baltimore. The score, Baltimore 6 and Cincinnati 3.
Okay, this is Mike 1. Okay, this is Mike 2.
Simpson alone lost well Clemenger, I guess. You can't afford to wait anymore. Get that 1 out.
Your attention, please. Now coming into pitch for Cincinnati, number 43, Milt Wilcox.
Let's go down to Tony now.
With me down here on the field, the Commissioner of Baseball, Bowie Kuhn. And Commissioner, you had a tough job before the ball game, and your staff of Joe Reichler, Charlie Seagar, and, well, I couldn't mention them all, had some tough decisions today before the game.
Well, in a game like this, Tony, you live with the weatherman. You watch the condition of the field. You watch the way that rain is coming down and whether it looks like it's letting up. At 12:35 today, we decided we dared to take the canvas off because we thought we had a break, and so far it's worked well.
And really, the fans are still the most important thing, the most important consideration. The people here and the people listening and watching almost all over the world are to be taken into consideration, aren't they?
Of course they are, and I think we have a highly playable condition at this time, and I hope it stays that way.
Mr. Commissioner, thank you so much, and congratulations to your staff. You've done just a great job all year.
Thanks, Tony.
Thank you. Let's go back upstairs.
And Tony, just as you and the commissioner were talking, Chuck and I looked beyond the left field stands, and we see a big dark cloud coming this way over Memorial Stadium. Milt Wilcox, 20 years old, who was born in Honolulu, lives in Del City, Oklahoma. He pitched to 4 batters in the second game and gave up 3 hits. Let me correct on Granger. Instead of 6 hits, he gave up 5 hits. 5 hits and 2 runs charged to Granger. First 4 runs were charged to Merritt. Baltimore scored 2 runs in each inning so far. 1 out. Johnson at first. The strike. Lee May holding there. Good fastball by Wilcox. Strike two. The Reds can get Simpson healthy next year. They have quite a core of young pitchers. 1-2. Gullett, you've seen him in the World Series. Wilcox is only 20. Simpson's 21 or 22. Gary Nolan's only 22. They should be well set. 2-2. But you know, the example that's happened to the Reds with their pitching injuries shows that you never have enough pitching. 2 balls, 2 strikes to Etcher Barron. A high fly out to Pete Rose. Johnson played it halfway, 2 down. And Cuellar, the pitcher, coming up. Cuellar hit a grand slam homer in the playoffs against Minnesota. After a shaky first inning, he settled down.
Mike Cuellar.
Foul ball. One thing you note on these Baltimore pitchers at the bat, Chuck, is the Reds don't play them to the opposite field.
As you mentioned, they are, I'd say, fair hitting pitchers, not really good hitting pitchers. But a fellow like Cuellar is one of those, I think you honestly say he is quite dangerous if you happen to throw it where he's swinging. He takes a full rip at each and every pitch, and that foul ball is giving him a little discomfort, as you see. Manager Weaver and Salvon, the trainer for the Baltimore Orioles, started out of the dugout, and I think Cuellar sent him back, but now trainer Ralph Salvon and Earl Weaver are going to come on the scene, so it's obvious that the sting of that foul ball is quite uncomfortable. Whether it was the knee or below, I'm not sure, and apparently now they are touching the inside of the shin on that right leg. And now the back of the leg.
That's that freeze spray they put on to deaden the nerve endings, the pain. You know, if that stiffens up on him and continues painful, that could bother his pitching.
It could indeed. In the playoff games, third playoff game, Baltimore pitcher Jim Palmer was hit a tremendous smash, knocked right off the mound by Minnesota catcher Ratliff. And he had after that an uncomfortable inning, but was still able to continue. And it remains to be seen whether the sting of this foul ball is going to bother Cuellar.
Baltimore's leading 6-3, last of the third. They have 2 down, Dave Johnson at first, and a 1-strike count to Mike Cuellar. Outside to him. Ball 1, strike 1. Belanger on deck at the top of the order. Every Oriole has hit safely so far, with the exception of Brooks Robinson and Cuellar. 2-1. That's Belanger. Low curve, 2-2. Three and two, 2 down. Johnson will be going on the pitch. May has been hanging off the bag with the left-handed batter up. Runner going, fouled into the stand. Dave Johnson will be on the move again. There we go. Foul ball. Bill Cox won 3, lost 1. They brought him up from Indianapolis where he'd won 12 and lost 10. He had a no-hitter in a 7-inning game. Runner going. Quick 3, and the Orioles are out in the 3rd. 2 more runs for them. 3 hits. No errors, 1 left. At the end of 3, Baltimore 6 and Cincinnati 3.
0-9-7.
Now they want 2 quick innings. They want 2 quick ones, play on.
Good over there.
No, but your wind has stayed constant, Kurt, out of the south. And if it changes and comes off this way, then you're guaranteed some rain, I would think. Not that you're not going to get it this way, but...
Ask Lou how it's going. Lou, everything going all right? Okay. Your United Way community campaign needs a lot of money this time, a lot. But it's for a number of agencies helping more people than ever. Give your fair share the United Way for your community. If you don't do it, it won't get done. In the 4th inning, Lee May, Hal McRae, and Tommy Helms are due up. We've got just a little glint of sunshine. It's trying to fight its way through the clouds. Lee May is the only hitter who has hit safely in every game, including today.
The batter, number 23.
Brooks Robinson and Bobby Tolan still have their chance to do so. They asked May if he's altered his swing to keep the ball from getting away from Brooks Robinson. He said no. Ball 1. May has had 7 hits, and twice he's been robbed of base hits by Robinson at 3rd. They have a shift on for him now. Strike. First time we've seen him shift. With Robinson, Belanger, and Dave Johnson all on the left side of the infield. Tony Cloninger warming up in the red bullpen. One ball, 2 strikes. Cuellar has had a stiff hip and a stiff arm. Struggled in the 1st inning. Since then, he's been sharp. 2-2. Harris hit to Robinson in back of the bag. Fell down at home plate. The throw goes over to Powell. May fell down in the plate. Couldn't get out of the box. He's out. Robinson to Powell.
I'll look at the Brooks Robinson play on the smash off the bat of Lee May.
Number 11.
And again, very sure-handed in the setup for the throw, and now he can relax and take his time as he knows that May is on the ground and unable to run.
A high pop-up by Hal McRae. Belanger, the shortstop. 2 down. McRae had doubled his first time. 9 in a row now. Cuellar is set down. Tommy Helms grounded to short his first time.
Tommy Helms.
Cuellar accounted for the only Oriole victory in last year's World Series. 16 innings against the Mets, he allowed only 2 runs. Ball 1 to Tommy Helms. Baltimore's ahead 6-3. Concepcion's on deck. This is the top of the 4th inning. And it's popped up once more. Boog Powell calling for it. 3 up and 3 down for the Reds. At the end of 3 1/2 innings, Baltimore 6, Cincinnati 3.
Thinking now in terms of 5 innings, you know, the trailing team has to have 5 at-bats. That's important that they get the 5 innings into the lead up there.
All they've got to do is get him out.
It's an official ball game. If he gets him out in the 5th inning, it's right. Let's see it.
Well, with the Orioles ahead, if they hold that lead and get the Reds out in the top of the 5th inning, this will be an official ball game. The top of the order for the Orioles and the last of the 4th. Belanger, Blair, and Frank Robinson facing Milt Wilcox. Belanger's fouled out and singled. He drove in a run in the 2nd inning.
The batter, number 7, Mark Belanger.
That's ball for a strike. The Orioles have scored every inning, 2 runs in each inning. The Reds jumped off with 3 runs in the 1st, but they have been overtaken. Foul makes it strike 2. Paul Blair will be up next. One and 2. Foul back again. The Oriole dugout. Two and 2. Nobody on, nobody out. Hit to the right side to Helms. 1 down. Helms has played a very solid second base in this series. Blair is 2 for 2. Single to left in the 1st. Single in the 2nd, and drove in a run.
Blair.
And he and Brooks Robinson are now tied for the most hits, 8 apiece. Ball 1. The Orioles are leading the Reds 6-3 in the last of the 4th. Changeup is over. 1-1. Frank Robinson will be up next. Foul tip for strike 2. 1 and 2. The record for most hits in a 5-game series is 9, held by 6 players. The last to do it was Bobby Richardson in the 1961 series. Well, Blair and Brooks Robinson each have 8. 3 and 2. 1 out, bases empty. Got him on a bad pitch. 2 down. Frank Robinson hit a 2-run homer in the first, fly to center in the second. Everybody asked Frank Robinson how long he's going to play. As long as he can do well, he's going to keep going. He said, when I have to be a 250 hitter, though, and drag around, why, I don't want to play anymore. I want to be able to play with pride. Strike. He wants to manage. The last 2 years, he's gone to Venezuela in the Winter League and managed there to try and gain some experience. Ball 1, strike 1. Boog Powell on deck. Well, Chuck, you travel with him every day. Robinson's a very smart baseball man, isn't he?
He is every bit of that.
1 ball, 2 strikes.
One of the players he managed in winter ball this year is the Oriole left fielder this afternoon, Merv Rettenmon. And Merv with the Orioles hit, 300 plus and was a 143 hitter for Frank. And Rettenmon kiddingly says, that ought to show you what kind of a manager Frank is.
A little hurt there in his left hand. A 1-2 pitch to him. Ooh, caroms off the pitcher. Perez is up and throws him out. On a hot carom off the pitcher. Score that one, pitcher to third to first.
Here's a look at it in split screen, and watch this line drive off the bat of Frank Robinson, and Wilcox is powerless to do anything about it. He just couldn't get the glove in front of it. And now here's the swing, and now watch. And that had to hurt, and caromed over to Perez.
3 up, 3 down for the Orioles in the fourth at the end of 4 innings.
The batter, number 13, Dave Concepcion.
Dave Concepcion is going to lead off, and we'll have a pinch hitter for Wilcox. Angel Bravo will be up next. Then to Bobby Tolan at the top of the order. Foul ball out of play. Mike Cuellar gave up 4 hits in the first inning and 3 runs. That's Bravo. And since then, he's not allowed a base runner. 10 Reds in succession have gone down. Chop foul. Strike 2. That's Wilcox. That hot smash, I think, hurt him off the bat of Frank Robinson. He had ice packs on him and have taken him into the clubhouse. Ground ball to Belanger. 1 down. Angel Bravo coming up. Bravo hit .310 as a pinch hitter this last year. 277 for the season. He's nothing for 2 in the World Series.
Angel Bravo.
Ball 1 to him. Tony Cloninger will come in to pitch in the last of the 5th inning for Cincinnati. Baltimore leading 6-3. Top of the 5th. Ball 2. Bobby Tolan on deck. Bravo lives in Santa Rita, Venezuela. Three and nothing. 69, he led the Pacific Coast League in batting. Home plate umpire Bill Williams' voice booming out today. The 3-1 delivery. 3-2. There's a first base runner for the Reds since the 1st inning. And the top of their order is coming up. Bobby Tolan has struck out and grounded out.
Number
And
28.
action is going to start again in the Baltimore bullpen. Foul ball. Tom Phoebus warming up. Weaver quick to warm his bullpen up today because of the physical condition of Cuellar. 1-1. He's been complaining of a stiff hip and a stiff pitching arm. Bravo at first, 1 down. Tried to get out of the way of that inside pitch. Fouls it off. 1-2. Luke Powell holding against Bravo. Fly ball to left field. Merv Redmond is there. 2 down. Pete Rose, the switch hitter, will be batting right. He's doubled to right and grounded out. 1 more out, and this is an official ball game. Unless the Reds would come up with some runs. He committed himself. It's a strike. Magazine gives the car, you know, to the outstanding player, a Dodge Charger. Robinson's. Look at that swing. Brooks Robinson is, according to everybody around here, is going to win it. We don't know. I would say it'd be Robinson or Lee May.
You could say at least he's made a down payment.
Cuellar's last 2 pitches have been the hardest he's thrown. 1 ball, 2 strikes to Rose, 2 down. Angel Bravo at first base. Out. 1-2 to Rose. drive hit to deep right. Robinson backing up. And we now have an official ball game here. Game 5 of the World Series. In the 5th inning, no runs, no hits, no errors, 1 left. At the end of 4 1/2, Baltimore 6, Cincinnati 3.
Whether what it is, that's pretty important. That's a good point to establish as you did. Thank you, Kurt.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, Mr. Kessler. Tony Cloninger's coming in for the Reds, and while he warms up, let's go down to Tony Kubek.
With me on the field, the chairman of the board of the Baltimore Orioles, Mr. Jerry Hoffberger. And Mr. Hoffberger, you and your staff have put together one of the finest teams in baseball history.
Well, Tony, we have a great team, and I think the credit goes to Harry Dalton, Frank Cashin, and Earl Weaver, and the coaches. They're the guys who really run the club, and the fellows out there doing the job for them. And we're glad to be here today.
Well, you put on a fine performance, and that guy you've got at third base is unreal.
We'll come back and see him next year, Tony.
Jerry, thank you so much. Let's go back upstairs.
Thank you.
Tony Cloninger will become the 4th Cincinnati pitcher. Merritt, Granger, Wilcox, and now Cloninger. The Orioles are leading 6-3 as we go to the last of the 5th inning. And to take over the play-by-play, the voice of the Baltimore Orioles, Mr. Chuck Thompson.
Thank you, Kurt, and again, good afternoon, everybody. Here is Cloninger. He was the loser in the 3rd game, the first one played here in Baltimore. He pitched 5 1/3 innings, 6 hits, 3 walks, 3 strikeouts, 5 runs, and was nicked by the home run bat of Frank Robinson in the 3rd and Don Buford in the 5th inning. Tony Cloninger. And it'll be Boog Powell, who had been 0 for his last 8 official at-bats until he doubled into right field in the 3rd inning. Ball 1. 30-year-old Tony Cloninger, and if he looks big and strong, he is exactly that. 6 feet, 215 pounds, from Lincoln County, North Carolina. Tony Perez, waiting for the pop-up. 1 gone. Baltimore left fielder Merv Rettenmund popped to short in the 1st. He singled to knock in the Orioles' 5th run in the 3rd inning. Baltimore 6 runs, 8 hits. Cincinnati 3 runs, 4 hits in this last half of the 5th inning. Let's see if it's playable. It is going to be out of play. In this World Series, now in Game 5, Tony Cloninger becomes the 16th pitcher used by Cincinnati. Good breaking ball to Rettenmund. Though I have watched American League Baseball for a few years, I must admire the plate technique of the National League's Billy Williams, the ball and strike umpire this afternoon. Fine work. One and 2. And Rettenmund pauses to reflect a moment. 1 and 2. Out of play. Cloninger, in 19 starts this year, did not pitch a complete game. 2-2. He was the starter in the third game of the playoffs against the Pittsburgh Pirates. Came out with no decision. And that'll make it 3-2 to Rettenmund. As has been said, control has been one of Cloninger's problems. He averaged 4.7 walks per 9 innings this year. 3-2 to Rettenmund. Out of play. And his National League average shows about 4 walks a game, or 4 per 9 innings. (3-2) again to Rettenmund. Out of play. As has been mentioned, Cloninger's best year in baseball, and what a year it was. 1965 with the Milwaukee Braves. He won 24 and lost 11. Since that time, his best year with the Atlanta team was in 1966, winning 14, losing 11. Right field, if it stays fair, it could be trouble. If it stays fair, it is. A fair ball, home run for Rettenmund.
Rettenmund with power to the opposite field. Watch Tony Cloninger's reaction after the bat meets the ball. Rettenmund hit 18 home runs as a part-time player this year. Cloninger looking up.
Brooks Robinson, ball 1. Brooks 0 for 2 this afternoon. Fly to left, grounded to second base. 1 out. Baltimore 7, Cincinnati 3. Out of play. 1 ball, 1 strike. Cloninger gave us the first indication that that was going to go all the way. 1-2 to Brooks.
The Orioles now have out-homered the Reds 10 home runs to 5 in this series.
One and 2 the count to Brooks Robinson. 1 out. Well, let's see if the shortstop can get back on it or the center fielder in. No one. And Brooks Robinson fell, rounding first base. He is apparently all right, perhaps a little embarrassed. But that now is the 9th hit in the 1970 World Series for Brooks Robinson, tying a record that Kurt Gowdy mentioned earlier. The last one to do it, Bobby Richardson, 1961. The second hit off Cloninger, and the 10th Baltimore hit in Game 5. Dave Johnson has walked and has singled to knock in a Baltimore run. 1 out. Brooks at first. This is Ray Washburn in the Cincinnati bullpen. You ought to look at him over there. No, he just missed. Ball 1. If you had been in Baltimore with us early this morning, you could not possibly have believed that the Orioles and the Reds could play a couple of innings, let alone get to the bottom of the 5th. Fair ball. In the left field corner, you're watching McRae. Brooks is to third, and they hold him there. And to second base, Dave Johnson, his second, the 2-base hit of the series. Cloninger got Powell on the pop-up to Perez at third. Then Rettenmund homered. Robinson singled, Johnson doubled, and now Etchebarren with one out, runners second and third.
Outside of Clay Carroll, the Orioles have treated the bullpen of the Reds very roughly.
And the strategy, as you see by Cincinnati, intentional pass to Etchebarren. And I don't think in the years I've watched baseball I have ever seen an intentional pass given without the fans booing. And yet is a very important part of the strategy of baseball and a part of the game that has to be recognized and has to be used. Bases are loaded, and Cuellar is the batter.
I think he's remembering McNally.
He might also be remembering a swing he made in Minnesota, that a 29-mile-an-hour wind blew back fair for a grand slam home run in the Oriole-Minnesota playoff series. Cuellar has lined to the right fielder Rose and has struck out. The infield is in double play depth with one out, bases loaded. Ball one. Here are the base runners. If you look around. One and one to Cuellar. They might turn it to a double. Nope, they couldn't get Cuellar. I was thinking ahead to that great throwing arm of Johnny Bench, and if anybody had a chance of getting two on that play, Bench did, but Cuellar reaches.
Number 7, Mark.
As the force is executed on Brooks Robinson at the plate, 2 out. Bases remain loaded and Mark Belanger. Watching Pete Rose, calling for it. Final out of the inning. But at the end of 5 innings, the score is now Baltimore 7 and Cincinnati 3. He's been through it before, Flaherty. No. Yesterday was Benson. It was a National League umpire, Benson, yesterday. So Flaherty has been through it. He's nowhere in range. 4, 3, 2. We pause now for station identification. This is Linda Wareheim, He does this at the end of every 5 innings. Not that, but does dust off the base paths, and she gave third base coach Alex Krantz. Here is Tony Perez, 0 for 2 with a fly to left and a line drive to left. And you've seen again the defensive artistry of Baltimore shortstop Belanger, and again the Reds hit it right at somebody.
Belanger, a former basketball star at Pittsfield, Massachusetts, is tall. Look at the reach he has, and he can go to his right or left. Tough to get that ball through that left side of the Baltimore infield.
Here is Johnny Bench. Single to knock in the Reds' first run. Let's see whether Dave Johnson, he will. Second baseman Johnson making the play. 2 down, top of the 6th. And had it not been for Baltimore defense, particularly Brooks Robinson, what a great World Series May would be having. He is still having an outstanding series, but it could be even better. That was his seasonal average, 253, 34 home runs. He is 1 for 2 this afternoon with a double, and came on hitting .429 in the series, and that's the Cuellar curve. He now has 7 hits in 16 trips, has May, with 8 runs batted in, 2 home runs and 2 doubles, 1 and 1. And if you take Brooks Robinson off third base, you can add more to the Lee May figures. 2 and 1. 2 out. Nobody out. Cuellar retired 11 in a row following McRae's double in the first inning. Well, here's a very interesting note again. The most runs batted in a 5-game World Series, 8 by Dan Murray of the A's in 1910. 3-2 to May. And if the series ends today, Lee May will tie the record, or he could break that record. He has now 8 runs batted in. And we are in the 5th game. Watch Paul Blair. And it apparently is quite playable for the final out. So at the middle of the 6th inning, the score is Baltimore 7 and Cincinnati 3. He's there waiting for him, yes.
Lou? Any chance of a replay on Blair there, how he's... A lot of guys are running for that ball. He was there waiting for it.
He took a home run away from Tony Conigliaro in that same spot. He went out of the ballpark, and Harden was ready to catch at the bullpen. He went up the fence, reached over, and caught him.
Small flood. Okay.
In the Baltimore half of the 6th inning, Paul Blair, who singled in the first, singled in the second, and struck out in the 4th, will face Cloninger.
The batter, number 6, Paul Blair.
I think it can be said without fear of contradiction, there is not a better center fielder in the American League than Paul Blair. Kurt?
Sparky Anderson compares him to Willie Mays, how shallow he plays.
Well, that's putting Paul Blair in outstanding company. That makes it 1-1, and you saw Frank Robinson, the on-deck hitter. The 1-1 to Blair. No, just a bit high. 2-1. Out of play. Baltimore with 7 runs, 11 hits. The Reds 3 runs on 4 hits. All 4 hits, all 3 runs in the first inning for Cincinnati. 3-2 to Blair. Starter Cuellar has had streaks where he retired 11 in a row and is currently working on a streak of retiring 5 Reds in a row. 3-2, Cloninger to Blair. You're watching quite a battle as Cloninger is challenging Blair with the best he's got, that good fastball, and Blair is getting just a piece of it. Out of play again. There is activity in Cincinnati's bullpen. Washburn is up again. And again a 3-2. Cloninger to Blair. There's Washburn. Breaking ball just missed, and Bench giving the well-known look to Billy Williams. Cloninger's second walk. The first one was an intentional pass to Etchebarren in the 5th inning. And the batter is Frank Robinson. It was Frank who ignited the spark for Baltimore in the first inning after Cincinnati had tallied 3 times against Cuellar in the top of the first. Frank hit his second World Series home run of 1970 to make it a 3-2 ball game in the first inning. May holding with Blair. And Powell, the on-deck hitter. So Cloninger is working his way through the heavy end of the Baltimore batting order here in the bottom of the 6th. Frank has 6 lifetime World Series home runs, leads active major leaguers, tied for 11th in the all-time list of home run hitters. You can see that Cloninger is more than a bit concerned with the lead of Blair at first base. One strike pitch to Frank. 1-1. Blair held. He's not going anywhere.
The fellow that we've been watching on the pregame show during the World Series, no longer active as a player, Mickey Mantle, has the most World Series homers. He had 18.
A ball and a strike to Frank Robinson. This will be a 1-1 pitch. And that's a good look at the lead of Blair at first. Out of play. One gone as Frank Robinson is out on strikes. The batter, Boog Powell. 1 for 3 this afternoon.
number 26, Booth Howell.
And 4 hits and 15 trips in the series for Boog. May is still holding with Blair at first base. Watching Blair on his way to third. The throw will be to second base. And Powell has his second hit of this game, number 5. Only in the 4th inning this afternoon have the Orioles been kept off the bases, as they were 3 up and 3 down in the 4th. Merv Rettenmund, 2 for 3 this afternoon, including a solo home run last time at bat in the 5th inning. 1 out. And Perez may have a play. 2 down now. With 9 hits in a 5-game World Series, here is Brooks Robinson.
Number 5, Brooks Robinson.
And he's only hitting .474 in this World Series.
Blair third, Powell first. May does not hold with Powell. Good play by Perez. The short route for the force on Powell at second and the final out. At the end of the 6th inning, the score is Baltimore 7 and Cincinnati 3.
Your attention, please. Dr. Stanley Dilsenberg, please report to the Oriole office at once.
In the event the World Series is over on Sunday, NBC will present NFL football, 1 o'clock Eastern Daylight Time, Baltimore at New York, Miami at Buffalo. 2 o'clock it'll be San Diego at Chicago. 4 o'clock Kansas City at Cincinnati, Pittsburgh at Houston. For the game in your area, consult your paper for the listing. NFL football on NBC this Sunday if the World Series is over.
For the Cincinnati Reds, top of the 7th inning, it'll be McRae to lead off. Hal doubled in the 1st inning to knock in 2 of Cincinnati's 3 runs. Pop to the shortstop in the 4th. Ball 1. We pause briefly for station identification. This is the NBC television network. One pitch, Cuellar to McRae. Ball 2. Well, if it stays in play, Echebarren will handle it. 1 away.
Cuellar's best pitch right now is his fastball, and he's got a good one, and he's relying on it. Shaky start in the first inning, 3 runs and 4 hits.
Number 19.
But evidently loosened up. He has not allowed a hit since the first inning.
And now has retired 6 in a row following the walk to Bravo in the 5th inning. The batter, Tommy Helms. Breaking ball in. Tommy is 0 for 2 this afternoon with a bounce out to short and a pop to the first baseman. Washburn in the Cincinnati bullpen. 2-strike pitch to Helms. Foul ball. It's Concepcion, on deck hitter. The glove of Dave Johnson, and we'll see what the official scorer rules: base hit or error. Base hit, and the first for Cincinnati since McRae's double in the first inning. Here is Concepcion, who has popped to second and bounced to short. And he singles to right field. Down to second goes Helms, who had, of course, to hold. And now with 1 out, the Reds have put together back-to-back base hits, and we'll see who the pinch swinger could be for Cincinnati. Kurt?
Frank Robinson gave it the old decoy that time, trying to make Helms believe that he was going to catch that ball, and nearly forced him at second.
Your attention, please. Batting for manager, number 25,
Bernie Carbo has been announced now as the pinch hitter for Tony Cloninger. Dick Hall is throwing in the Oriole bullpen. This will be Bernie Carbo. Bernie is now in his 4th World Series game. He has been to the plate 7 times without a base hit. He hit .310 over the year with 21 home runs. Fine-looking first-year man for Cincinnati. Well, the Reds have got something going with 1 out. Helms at second, Concepcion at first, and pinch hitter Carbo at the plate. Frank Robinson was the man who nicknamed Oriole left-hander Cuellar Crazy Horse because of that magnificent countenance. Cuellar, 1, 2, double play, and the Orioles are out of the inning. At the middle of the 7th inning, the score continues: Baltimore 7 and Cincinnati 3. And so at the middle of the 7th inning, the score is Baltimore 7 and Cincinnati 3.
They missed it the first time. You might just do it over. I told him about putting in it. You were too fast for it.
I'm sorry.
3 outs.
All I have to do is wait for the cue.
That's it. They have to do it.
Well, it's not everybody. And now let's go downstairs to Tony Kubek.
With me down on the field, one of the all-time great third baseman's wives, Mrs. Brooks Robinson. And Connie, I think we're going to be driving a new Dodge around after this World Series. He looks like he's heading for that MVP.
Maybe. I don't know.
He's having a heck of a series. Is he always that easygoing as he is on the field?
Always.
Never hollers at the kids for you?
Not too often.
Nice talking to you, Connie. Real pleasure. Let's go back upstairs.
On the screen, Ray Washburn, and he was 4-4 on the year, and the ERA 6.95, and this is his first appearance in the 1970 World Series. And in the last half of the 7th inning, he will face Dave Johnson, Andy Etchebarren, and Mike Cuellar. And Cincinnati now has used 17 pitchers in the 5 games. Johnson walked, singled, and doubled. He now has 4 hits. He also has a run batted in this afternoon. Ray Washburn makes his home in Kirkland, Washington, 32 years old. It's for the Cardinals in the 1967 and in the 68 World Series. Had a 1-1 record. Got into 4 games all told in those 2 series. Dave Johnson. One away.
Number 8, Andy.
Here is Andy Etchebarren, singled in the 2nd inning. Scored Baltimore's 4th run, fly to right, and was given an intentional pass in the 5th inning. Ball 1. Ball 2. Ray Washburn. 2-0 to Etchebarren. Three and 1 to Etchebarren. One-out walk to Etchebarren brings out Mike Cuellar, and he should get a fine ovation from the Baltimore Hands here at Memorial Stadium.
Number 35.
And also, Chuck, he's the only man in the lineup who hasn't had a base hit yet. He'll be trying to get one.
Quite an interesting story right there. Defeated every team he faced in the American League 69 to 70. Every team in the league. One strike to Cuellar. And he's got the sacrificing Cuellar, advancing Etchebarren to second. 2 out, and Mark Belanger. Cuellar, McNally, and Clyde Wright of the Angels defeated all of their opponents in the American League this year. In 69, Cuellar and Palmer had the same success, defeating all other clubs in the American League at least once. Belanger has 1 hit in 4 trips this afternoon, but it knocked in a run for Baltimore in the 2nd inning. Tommy Helms got it to first in time to get Belanger, and that'll be the Oriole half of the 7th inning. So at the end of the 7th inning, the score is Baltimore 7 and Cincinnati 3. He's got 2 tough innings to face, hasn't he, though? Tolan, Rose, Perez, bench May, and Gray.
Your attention, please. Will Nina Schwartz please report to the Oriole office at once?
It looks like Dave. Let me check. I think it's left.
3 seconds.
2. We pause now for station identification. What's the difference? What's the difference here?
Coming back in 4, 3.
The batter, number 28, Bobby Tolan.
The top of the 8th inning, game number 5, the 1970 series, brings the Cincinnati Redlegs leadoff hitter, Bobby Tolan, then Pete Rose, and then Tony Perez against Mike Cuellar. Did he or did he? He did not. It is a ball 1. Ball 2. Now Blair is coming on in center field for the first out on the top of the 8th. And now Pete Rose doubled in the Cincinnati first, scored the first run. Since then, grounded a second fly to right. Belanger at shortstop. 2 gone in the 8th, and the applause gets a little louder with every out now. Here is Perez. Fly to left, line to left, and Belanger made a great leaping catch to take a base hit away from him in the 6th inning. Right-handed Dick Hall, left-handed Pete Rickert are working in the Baltimore bullpen. 2 out and an on. Hard slider, ball 1. And I believe by crowd reaction that we're getting a slight drizzle here at the stadium now. Popped him up, middle of the infield. Who will make the play? Belanger is calling for it. Belanger will make the play. 3 up, 3 down in 1-2-3 order. So at the middle of the 8th inning, the score is Baltimore 7 and Cincinnati 3. Baltimore in the bottom of the 8th inning. Paul Blair, Frank Robinson, Boog Powell against Washburn. And apparently there is a slight drizzle beginning to fall at Memorial Stadium as we go to the last half of the 8th inning. And the Orioles have to consider themselves extremely fortunate that with the weather confronting them in Baltimore this morning and up until noon today, that they were able to get along as far as they had in Game 5 without a deluge. Thunderstorms were predicted, intermittent rain, and this is the first drizzle that we have had since the early moments of the game. Blair. Strike one. Blair has had 2 hits and 3 trips. Good curveball from Washburn. 2 strikes now. One and 2. Two and 2. Out of play. Safe is the call, and Blair will reach on an infield base hit.
This is quite an effort here by Concepcion. A throw with something on it, just missing Blair at first. But Blair has come up with his 3rd hit today, and now, like Brooks Robinson, he has 9 hits in a 5-game World Series if this one ends today.
Frank Robinson homered in the 1st inning with a man aboard. Since then has fly to center, hit a shot off the pitcher, and was thrown out by 3rd baseman Perez in the 4th inning and struck out in the 6th. Ball 1. Ball 2. At the plate low. Robinson to right field. Blair will hold at second. And it's Boog. Baltimore's first baseman, who is 2 for 4, 5 hits in the series. He doubled in Baltimore's 3rd, singled in the 6th. Good curve from Washburn. Strike 1. Ball 1. Clay Carroll is throwing in the Cincinnati bullpen. Here he is. By far the most effective of Cincinnati's relief pitchers in the series. 1-1 the count to Powell. Blair second, Frank Robinson first. Lee May is in trouble. Blair is coming home. Alert base running on the part of Paul Blair checks in Baltimore's 8th run.
Here's the replay. This ball hit hard, backs May up, and then handcuffs it. He loses his underfooting, slips and falls down. As Tommy Hell's picking the ball up, throwing the pitcher, and Blair scored on the play. The pitcher with his back to the plate. Here's Blair, who was on second, and he just rounded third and kept coming when he saw Washburn with his back to him at first.
And Baltimore leads 8-3, 1 out. Frank Robinson at second base. Rettenmund on a 2-for-4 afternoon against Washburn. The out at first and Powell, first baseman, the second baseman for the pitcher covering. Out of play. Kurt.
By the way, Powell gets an RBI.
Correct.
He was out 3-4 to 1, but Blair scored on the play, so give Powell a run batted in.
1 strike to Rettenmund. 1 out. Ball 1. Ball 2. Now to Merv Rettenmund. Frank Robinson, the runner at second. A standing ovation for Brooks Robinson. Standing ovation for Brooks Robinson.
We're going to bring Clay Carroll on. Brooks Robinson has a chance, if this series ends today, if he gets a base hit, to break the all-time record for most hits in a 5-game series. He and Blair each have 9. So while we wait for the pitching change, there's a break in the action here at Baltimore with a score of the Baltimore Orioles 8 and the Cincinnati Reds 3.
Yes. Whenever you want me to leave. I think I can. Thank you.
Clay Carroll.
And now we go down to Tony Kubek.
I'm seated with Mr. Joe Cronin, president of the American League. And Mr. Cronin, this has got to be one of the finest teams to represent your league in many a year.
Tony, the American League's really proud of this great ball club. It reminds you of the great Yankee teams of old. They have the defense, they have the fine pitching, they have a bullpen, and a great defensive team, as you've always said. And with the punch.
As a fine ex-shortstop in the Hall of Fame himself, What about Belanger? He's kind of unsung on this team.
Isn't Belanger a fine fielder? He's sure-fisted, got a great arm, good on relays. And I think that jump and catch that he made of that line drive off Perez, incidentally, Perez hit the ball good both times, that one to Belanger and the one to left field. And Belanger made a great play. He's a great player.
Mr. Joe Cronin, thank you so much. Let's go back upstairs.
Thank you, Tony.
Here is Brooks Robinson, 1 out, Baltimore runners. Retmund at first, Frank Robinson at second in time. Clay Carroll, and he has been truly magnificent for Cincinnati in the 1970 series. Now let's see if it's in or out of play. Giving it a look, it's McRae, and it is out of play. And a fine catch by that spectator. Clay Carroll, for the Reds in 1970, is now in his 4th game of the 5-game series to date. He has won a game without a defeat yesterday's, pitching 8 1/3 innings, allowing only 4 hits, walking 2, and striking out 9. 1 strike to Brooks. Good fastball from Carroll, 2 strikes. Looking ahead to the Cincinnati 9th bench, May, McRae are the 2 batters against Cuellar. Out of play. One ball, 2 strikes. Out holding 1 and 2. Good pitch from Clay Carroll, and Brooks Robinson is a looking strikeout victim and is still rewarded with a standing ovation as he heads for the Baltimore dugout. They're getting up behind the dugout. And this most popular of all to wear the uniform of a Baltimore Oriole, if the series ends today, you can use all of the superlatives you can think of, and it would describe his play in this series. Here's Dave Johnson. 2 out now. Retmund first, Frank second. Ball 1 to Dave. Dave with a 2 for 3 afternoon, a single and a double. Baltimore continues. Frank Robinson around third. And he scores run number 9. Kurt?
We're talking about all these other Orioles. Here's a very underrated player, that Dave Johnson.
And now Andy Etchebarren.
Number 8, Andy Etchebarren.
Andy has singled, flied to right, and walked twice. One of those times intentionally. Out of play. Two strikes to Etchebarren. Runs 8 and 9 are charged to Washburn. In the Baltimore bullpen, the right-hander Hall, the left-hander Rickard. Rickard way to the right side of the picture. 2-2. It gets beyond the catcher, and they're just going to hold where they are. No advance. 2 out in the inning, and 2-2 now to count to Etchebarren. Again, I point to the Cincinnati ninth inning. 2 batters, Bench, May, and McRae. No, that's 3-2 now. Whoops, now it is called a strike, and that Etchebarren committed himself, and the inning is over. So at the middle, a check that at the end of the 8th inning, the score is Baltimore 9 and Cincinnati 3.
Orioles hold this lead. There'll be the World Series celebration in the Victor's Clubhouse, and Chuck will be on hand to bring you all the activity. Well, the Reds are up in the 9th inning now. Johnny Bench, 1 hit in 3 times. Mike Cuellar is inside. Cuellar gave up 4 hits and 3 runs. The Reds jumped out to a 3-0 lead in the 1st inning, but Cuellar has shut them out since. Foul ball. 1-1. And as Earl Weaver remarked before the game, I may let him stay in there longer than I normally would another pitcher. Sometimes he gets roughed up in the 1st inning or 2, but he needs to loosen up. And he started loosening up in the 2nd inning. Strike. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Cuellar finished the season strong like he did last year. He's had 2 great finishes in a row. Slow curve, high. They smell the blood here in Baltimore. This crowd roaring now in every pitch. Cuellar, since July 1st, has won 16 out of 19 games. That's a... Oh! Robinson does it again! Brooks Robinson making another phenomenal play at third. Here it is. You watch it. We're getting used to seeing this. Diving, taking it in foul territory. It's been a baseball ballet at third base in the 70 series. A long drive foul by Lee May. And Robinson has already been named the winner of the 16th annual Sport Magazine World Series Award as the outstanding player in the 70 series. No question about it. Strike 2 to Lee May, who's been the top player for the Reds. Lee May deserves a lot of credit. He's had a great series. One ball, 2 strikes. 3 of these games have been by 1 run in this series. Struck him out. The Orioles are 1 out away from the World Championship. And I don't believe there's much doubt that Brooks Robinson has been the difference. Mrs. Cuellar in the white dress, and she has the movie camera in her hand. Her husband's made a comeback today, as he did the last 2 years, getting off the slow starts and then gathering steam as the season went along.
Their attention, please. Batting for McRae.
Only 2 singles off him since the first inning.
Corrales.
Pat Corrales, the catcher now coming up to bat. Alan Ross been our statistician in this World Series, and Huey McDermott our stage manager. We get the last out, stand by. We'll switch you to the Baltimore locker room. Hit down to Robinson. It's fitting he makes the final out. Brooks Robinson throws him out. Baltimore is the world champ. The Reds were murderous against left-handed pitching this year, but McNally and Cuellar have defeated them in the World Series. This is the clubhouse. The players are coming in. Paul Blair had 9 hits in the series. He led the series in hitting with an average of .474. There's Brooks Robinson. That's Cuellar. Andy Etchebarren, the catcher. Mark Belanger. What a World Series this Baltimore infield had, making one great play after another. The Orioles have somewhat of a dynasty going now. They have won 3 of the last 5 American League pennants. Their second World Championship in the last 5 years. And Cuellar all the way, of course, in this game is the winner. The losing pitcher, the starter, Jim Merritt, plagued by a bad elbow. Baltimore had good pitching in the series, excellent hitting. They set a record for most home runs by a team in a 5-game series. The old record was 7 by the Yankees in '61. The Orioles hit 10 home runs in this series. They had great fielding. They had the balance that they had all year, hitting, pitching, and defense. And now let's go down to the World Champions Clubhouse.
Well, we're in the clubhouse of the world champion Baltimore Orioles, and the first of business will be Commissioner Bowie Kuhn presenting the championship trophy to the most deserving manager in baseball, Earl Weaver. Commissioner.
Earl, on behalf of all baseball, I want to present this championship award to you, for you and for all the Orioles. We knew you were a great baseball team. We knew it last year. You've proven yourself real world champions. We're all proud of you. Your trophy.
Thank you very much, Commissioner. It's a tribute to all the ball players and all the things they've done the last 2 years. And we wanted it so bad last year. I'm just glad we got it this year.
Thank you very much, Earl. And right beside you is Mr. Gerald C. Hotberger. Jerry, how do you feel about this trophy?
Well, I feel fine, but if Earl doesn't stop shaking, the whole building's going to fall down. There's Harry Dalton and Frank Cashin, and I think they deserve a lot of congratulations, too.
Earl, let's see if we can't get Harry Dalton and Frank Cashin in here for the benefit of our NBC cameraman. Would you come over, please, Frank?
I'm sure that's
and Harry Dalton. Earl, stay here. Will you please with Harry?
Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, here's the Executive Vice President of the Baltimore Orioles, Frank Cashin, with Earl Weaver, and General Manager Harry Dalton right over here. Harry, what do you have to say for us?
Chuck, I can't say anything. We're just tremendously excited and thrilled and so very proud of everybody on this team. They've done an excellent job all year.
And our Executive Vice President of Baltimore, Frank Cashin.
Thank you, Chuck. I'm very happy for the ball club, which is an excellent one, and very happy for Jerry Hofberger, who's a great owner and really deserves it.
What a difference a year makes.
Yes, it is.
Earl, can you say a few brief words about this past year? I was with you every game, and nobody said a word about what happened last year in the World Series. There wasn't any revenge at all.
No,
what do you feel
I don't
about
think
this
so.
club?
No, I just thought we have the best team starting out in spring training, and I said that we should win our division, definitely win our division, and whatever happened in the Minnesota series would happen because it's a short series. And the same with the World Series, but we wanted it all, if we could possibly get it.
Is this club better this year than the '69 club?
I don't know. I really don't know. People have been asking me that, and I just can't answer.
Earl, I know where you want to be, out with your men. Go ahead. Congratulations again, Earl Weaver. Thank you very much. And we'll see if we can't get somebody. Hey, here he is. Here is the winning pitcher in the deciding game of the 1970 World Series, Mike Cuellar. Mike, I'll not ask questions. Anything you care to say for the NBC worldwide television audience?
Well, what I can say, I'm so excited now to get, real happy now with the guys over here, with all the teammates do the job over here. Beautiful.
Well, we heard about stiffness in the shoulder and not feeling too well prior to the game. Would you comment on that, please?
Yeah, today I feel a little bit, on the shoulder, a little hurt.
What about a hip?
No, I just try to concentrate on the pitching today.
Okay. Mike Cuellar, this has to be for you the biggest moment in baseball.
That's the biggest moment in baseball for me, bro.
And there's only one thing you'd like to do, and that would be repeat it again next year, correct?
I hope so. We're going to try hard. We're going to try hard.
Mike Cuellar, thank you very much, and let's bring in Brooks Robinson right over here. Brooks, would you come over here, please? Here is Brooks Robinson, and Brooks, everyone tells me that you're going to be the player of the 1970 World Series. Any comments?
No, I'm just glad it's over. It was a great series, and things just really broke great for me. And I tell you, it took 25 of us, and this group worked together and played together and all year, and it's great to be number one.
Brooks, you've been with this organization a long time. Are there any differences, any changes that have come along in developing of the ball club that you think have perhaps highlighted the success they enjoy this afternoon?
Well, I tell you, getting Frank Robinson in '66 really put us over the hump. We were a good ball club. That made us the best around for a while, and I just hope we can, I'm going to enjoy it for a whole year, and in spring training we start all over again even.
Well, it's great to win. It's the only thing as far as Baltimore is concerned, but you did play a very fine baseball team in Cincinnati, and I'm sure the people would like to hear your comments on those Reds.
Well, we certainly respected them quite a bit. We caught them kind of short-handed without their best pitcher the first of the year, Simpson, and of course Merritt. He certainly wasn't himself today. He pitched against us in this league, and he just wasn't throwing. I know he had a bad elbow, and that was the big thing. I felt like we were going to score on their ball club, and if we kept them from breaking it wide open, well, we'd be in good shape.
Brooks, congratulations. Everyone has enjoyed the great success that you have had in this 1970 series. And speaking of gentlemen, we have one trying to move into our picture. If you'll come right in right now. Sparky Anderson, the manager of the Cincinnati Reds.
I just want to say the best ball club won, and I'd like to say that I hope the writers now give Earl Weaver what he deserves. This guy, somebody ought to shoot him. Nice going, bro.
Sparky Anderson, ladies and gentlemen, the manager of the Cincinnati Reds, and what a great tribute from a fine gentleman, Sparky Anderson, to come over to the Winners Clubhouse and congratulate Brooks Robinson and manager Earl Weaver, and of course the Baltimore Orioles, who are in the midst of a very fine celebration. We're looking around for Tony Kubek to see if Tony has another one of the Orioles that he'll be bringing up here for us, and we'll be happy to talk to any and every one that Tony will bring up here. Here on the way up right now. Hold on, before we continue with more player interviews, let's go right upstairs for one moment.
Game 5 of this 1970 World Series has been brought to you by Gillette Platinum Plus, double edge or injector for the shave you've always wanted, and more. By Salem Filter Cigarettes, take a puff, it's springtime. And by Chrysler Corporation, extra care in engineering. Your host today, your local Chrysler Plymouth dealer. And let's go right back now to the Baltimore clubhouse.
And with me is a fellow that the Baltimore Orioles call the Blade, Mark Belanger. Mark, there couldn't be a greater moment in your baseball career.
This is the greatest moment of my life. I'm so happy. I like to cry. I really do.
What was the effect of yesterday's Cincinnati Red victory on this clubhouse yesterday afternoon?
Well, we figured that we got 3 wins and they got 1, and I think we'd rather be in that spot than 1 and 3, just like they were. So we just bounced back today and said, let's go get them today, and this is what we did.
And it was well accomplished. You played an outstanding brand of defensive ball, but it sounds strange to keep saying that, even though the Orioles perhaps made more errors than the Reds did in the series.
Well, I'll tell you, that guy over third base there, he's not too bad.
Not too bad. It's a pretty nice compliment for Brooks Robinson, of course. And Mark, we congratulate you. And I look over my shoulder, and you mentioned Frank Robinson, and if you'll pardon me a moment, we'll go to Frank. Frank, a moment ago, a teammate of yours, Brooks Robinson, paid you a very fine compliment. I asked that in the years he has been with the club, he has been with them for quite a few years, was there a single change that he thought perhaps keynoted the success he celebrates this afternoon? He said, when we got Frank Robinson in 1966.
Well, that's a great compliment, Chuck, and coming from an individual like Brooks, it really makes me feel good.
Frank, we'd just like to hear a few of your thoughts about this 1970 series, if you perhaps during the series you reflected on 69.
Well, we did, Chuck. I think we reflected on 69 all this year, actually, without really saying it. I think the fellows all went along, dedicated themselves, and said we were going to spring training to get ourselves in the best possible shape. We got ourselves mentally fit for this year. We want to win the championship this year in the American League and get another shot in the series, and just go out there and come out on the winning end. And we didn't have the rah-rah thing about it. Each individual did it in spring training, got themselves in shape, and went out and did it on the field.
Sparky Anderson stepped in here a moment ago and said something I felt needed to be said. You know, you can't say it too often. He wanted to pay Earl Weaver a great compliment for the manner in which he has handled the Baltimore Orioles, and I've heard you discuss this, and I would like to have you repeat it for our television audience.
Well, Chuck, actually, Earl just doesn't get the credit he deserves. I'm not saying by the press or whatever. I just don't think people give him the credit he deserves. Earl has done a tremendous job with this ball club ever since he took it over in the middle of the '68 season. The thing about Earl is he gets the best out of 25 ball players. He's not afraid to use a 25th ball player to try to win a ball game. He doesn't mind making a move or being criticized for it if he feels like he's going to win a ball game. A lot of people asked us what kept our bench so sharp, and that's because Earl didn't mind playing that bench during the season, give them a few games to play so they could see some pitching and be sharp when he needed them. He didn't let them sit there and collect rust.
One other question I think baseball fans are asking if they're in my position. They want to know, is Frank Robinson playing or managing next year?
With this feeling going right now, Chuck, I'm going to reflect on this feeling. I'm going to enjoy this right now. And I'll tell you the way I feel right now, I want to be one of the 25 guys like this next year, leave the headaches and the trouble to someone else. I feel like right now I'm going to be a player next year. This is tremendous.
And Frank feels that there are a few more years left for Frank Robinson.
That's right. And I'd like to say one thing, and this isn't trying to butter Brooks up, but this guy had a tremendous series, Chuck. So I don't think anybody could have dreamed of the series that he had going into this series. But if the people just remember, and this shows you what a great ball club we have, and there's no one individual's on this ball club. In the third inning, Brooks Robinson has the hottest series, but he went to right with a man on second, nobody out, and got the man over the third. And this just shows you what this ball club has done. No one is too big on this ball club, and I'd just like to take my hat off to Brooks. He's done a hell of a job, this series. This guy's always done it when the chips are down. He can able to come up with the big plays and drive in the big run.
Frank Robinson, again, congratulations and thank you for your kind words. And we have Dave McNally coming into our picture right now. Thank you, Frank Robinson. Well, Dave, this is way back in February when the pitchers reported down to spring training. This is the afternoon that you were looking forward to, right?
This is what we're shooting for, and I'm so happy we made it, I can't believe it.
And two of Baltimore's left-handers, Cuellar and McNally, went the route and defeated a fine baseball team that has had great success against left-handed pitching.
Well, Chuck, they're an excellent hitting ball club and a real good ball club all around, and I was very happy and fortunate to beat them in the series, but I wouldn't want to pitch against them for a living.
I understand. Dave, without, really speaking out of school, the Baltimore scouts that looked at the Cincinnati Red Ball Club, would you comment on the information they made available to you?
Well, they did an excellent job of scouting the Cincinnati players, and almost any time we got the ball where they told us to get it, we made outs, but we made some mistakes, and they jumped on them.
But another fine ball club. And Dave McNally, you're headed for a winter of golf. Is that correct?
A winter of golf and relaxation.
But a little bit of a celebration prior to the golf.
I think we might find room for a party somewhere.
Dave, improve that swing of yours. I think they'd like to see another Grand Slam home run.
Okay, thank you, Chuck.
Thank you, Dave McNally. And here's a young fellow that you speak of courageous athletes. I'd like to introduce the Baltimore bat boy. This is Jay Mazzone. And Jay, this, just say whatever you'd like to right now.
This is the greatest bunch of guys in the world. Couldn't have anybody better. Thanks, Chuck.
All right, Jay, and we congratulate you. This young man is just an outstanding example of what it takes to be successful in this way of life. Pitcher Jim Harden. And Jim, what about this feeling this afternoon?
It's the greatest I've ever had. It's unbelievable, really. I didn't contribute in the series, but I was some kind of happy to be here.
It's a nice kind of a habit to get into, Jim Harden, is it not?
Every year.
I'd like to bring in some of the boys who sometimes have been referred to as second-line players. There's no such thing. Manager Earl Weaver says there are 25. Chico Simone. Chico, you had the base hit out in Cincinnati.
Thank you, Chuck, and that was a great thrill, but I think this one is bigger.
And right alongside of Chico is Marcelino Lopez. Come on in here, Marcy. You came in to pitch to a left-handed hitter and did your job in Cincinnati.
Well, that's the greatest moment of my life. After I was hurt for 2 years, I never thought I was going to see this before. I feel so grateful. I don't have a word to say. This one is it. I know I didn't see my mother for 10 years, probably watching me on TV now. I like to say hello, and I'm all right. This is a great moment in my life, and I hope that next year we do it again.
Bless you, Marcelino, and we do hope that your mother has seen you this afternoon. And let's bring in Kurt Moten over here, another one of the men who has been used by manager Earl Weaver. What about it, Kurt? What do you got to say this afternoon?
Everybody said how wonderful it is to be world champs and so on and so forth, but I don't think words can really describe my feelings because I never expected to feel this way. I don't usually get excited, but this is just really great. I'm glad we're on top.
Kurt Moten, congratulations and thank you very much. And Tony Kubek, would you come over here? Here is Pete Riggert. What do you say, Pete? How's it feel right
Beautiful.
now? Silly question.
Beautiful.
Of course. But any comment on the Cincinnati Red Ball Club?
They're a good ball club, but I think their pitching isn't as good as ours. Their bench isn't as good as ours, and that's just a great ball club we throw out there at you.
It is, and it has been day after day. Tony Kubek, I'd like to hear your comments in this series.
No doubt about what Pete just says. That's a great ball club. This one happened to be a greater ball club for this series.
They've got everything going for them all around. Guys like this in the bullpen, they're just great. What can you say? The Cincinnati Ball Club in the first half was a better ball club than in the second half and in the playoffs and the World Championship Series because they were missing some key pitching. Simpson, of course, and Merritt was not at his best, along with some of the others. They're a great ball club, too, but they did it this time.
And this Cincinnati Ball Club, I believe, is a kind of a club that probably could be in this World Series for a few years to come. How do you feel about that, Pete Rickard?
Fine. We'll play them again next year if they want us. We'll be there.
Pete, Mickey Manlin, one of our pregame interviews with him a couple of days ago, said that these same two teams, a prediction for the future, will be in the World Series again next year. I don't know if he's going to be right, but it's got a good chance.
Well, I got to feel it's the same game, the same series, same script. That'll be fine with me.
I hope so. And could I call in another one of the lesser known of the Baltimore Orioles? And I might incidentally advertise the fact that he's the only bachelor on the ball club. Ladies,
Cool,
Bobby
Chuck.
Gritch, what does this moment feel like to you?
Oh, it's a great thrill, Chuck. Just tremendous. I just feel privileged to be able to be on the team, one of the greatest teams in baseball right here.
And here is perhaps the greatest center fielder in the American League, Paul Blair. Paul, anything you care to say?
Oh, everything was just beautiful, Chuck. This is something we've been looking for all year. We had something to prove this year, and we came back and we proved it, and it was good to be here and win. I know how Cincinnati feels, that we felt this way last year. We got the breaks this year, and I think it was a hell of a World Series, and I just hope we can come back and beat them again next year.
Well, Paul, you, like all of the Orioles who've been up here, have nothing but complimentary things to say about the Cincinnati Reds, a fine ball club.
Oh, yes, they were a tremendous ball club. They played hard. Lee May did a fantastic job.
Didn't he, though?
Really hit. And Perez and all of them, I just think that maybe Perez had a lot of bad luck because he hit a lot of balls hard. It could have been a lot of base hits. Maybe their pitching wasn't up to the par that they brought all year. And, they lost Wayne Simpson, who did a fantastic job for them. And with our ball club, I don't think you can come out and be a little handicapped with their pitching and beat us. We played a real fine World Series, too.
You echo the thoughts of most people that there is the possibility that Baltimore and Cincinnati could be doing this again, perhaps for a few years?
I would love to be to face Cincinnati there next year. Just as long as we're there, that's all that's necessary.
That's the most important thing. Well, Paul Blair, congratulations again. It was a great job right on through the series by 25 men and a fine coaching staff of George Bamberger, the pitching coach, George Soller at first, Billy Hunter at third base, and a fellow named Jim Fry out in the bullpen.
We have some pretty good sportscasters, too, Chuck.
Hey, thank you very much, Paul Blair. That's about it. Let's right now take you from the clubhouse of the world champion Baltimore Orioles upstairs.
Outstanding job, Chuck Thompson and Tony Kubek on this World Series. Quite a wind-up of the season. Baltimore won 18 of their last 19 games. They won 26 of their last 30. Essentially the same team that lost to the Mets last year. Grabowski, Gritch, and Terry Crowley are the only three new players the Orioles had. I think Frank Robinson summed it up. When the Orioles went to spring training, they were motivated and determined to capture the World Championship this year after being disappointed in losing last year to the New York Mets. As for Cincinnati, well, you all know it's a team that averages only 26 years of age. They had bad luck with their pitching, with injuries to Simpson and Merritt. McLaughlin even came up with a bad arm here in the World Series. Cincinnati's going to be a tough team to beat in the future in that National League. And it was fitting, I believe, that Brooks Robinson, we've had a lot of great World Series by individuals. Remember Pepper Martin in 31. Babe Ruth had some big series. Tommy Agee with his 2 catches last year. Every series produces a hero. But seldom has one man dominated a series in the field and at the bat the way Brooks Robinson did this one. And it was fitting in the 9th inning that he made another one of his patented spectacular plays off the bat of Johnny Bench, and then the last ball hit in the series was down to Brooks Robinson at third, and he threw it over there for the final out. So the Orioles won it in 5 games. Cuellar finishing strong after being roughed up in the first inning, the winning pitcher. Baltimore, the new world champs of Major League Baseball. On behalf of our NBC staff, we certainly hope that you all across the country and around the world enjoyed the coverage of the World Series. And now NBC's Parade of Sports continues. It'll have National Football League action for you on Sunday at 1 o'clock. The Baltimore Colts against the New York Jets. Miami at Buffalo at 2 o'clock Eastern Daylight Time. San Diego at Chicago. And at 4 o'clock Eastern Daylight Time, Kansas City at Cincinnati, Pittsburgh at Houston. It's a doubleheader day on NBC. Consult the listings in your local papers for the game that'll be carried in your area. We have many people to thank. First of all, Carl Lindemann, the Vice President of Sports of NBC, Chet Simmons, the Director of Sports, And what a job these gentlemen have done in the background here in setting up this World Series. And Scotty Connell, the manager of sports for NBC, all the cameramen and producers. I could rattle them off here, but what a job these cameramen and audio men do to bring you the sights and the sounds of the series. And for all their work all year, personally, on behalf of Tony Kubek, we thank them. Bowie Kuhn, the commissioner of baseball. Charlie Seeger, the secretary-treasurer. Joe Reichler, director of public relations. Tom Gallery, consultant of Major League Baseball. Tom Dawson, director of TV and radio activities. Chub Feeney and Joe Cronin, the two league presidents. Bob Howsam, Dick Wagner, and Tom Seaberg of the Reds front office. Frank Cashin, Robert Brown, and Bud Freeman of the Baltimore.